That should be cloud. Welcome to episode 7 of Ask a Black Woman podcast. My name is Dr. Lulu, and today my co-host is
Sharmon Lebby.
oh my goodness, so excited to see you. I didn't even realize that we're both matching. I mean, you're wearing
We
yellowish.
are.
Yes, yes, the sisterhood has already started. So, as you know, this is the only show where every guest is a co-host. So,
Yeah.
Shaman is going to ask us a question today, and we're going to try to tackle the question together. And at the end of the show, if you please stay to the end, our co-host is going to ask you a question that you need to respond in the comments. Please do us a favor, share the show, tell someone about it, comment on it, tell people about it. And if you know
Yeah.
anyone who is a spunky Black woman that has a question to ask, have them come and join us at the party because why not? So my
Yeah.
name is Dr. Lulu. Welcome to episode 7. Oh my goodness, 7 is a
Woo.
lucky number. So come on, why did you say yes to this thing? Why did you say yes, you're coming to this show?
First, I just love to talk to people. I love to meet new people, to hear different perspectives, and get to share my opinions. I got lots of opinions. I got lots to say. But more than anything, I just really love getting in front of people and talking to them, learning more about them. And so I love building my community.
Yeah. And I think Black women generally, we just have a lot to say. And that's why
Look.
they're scared of us. I have to keep saying that's why they're scared of us. And that's
Oh,
also why we'll never back down because it's our
absolutely.
time. It's our time.
Hmm.
We have a lot to
Hmm.
say. And if you don't want to listen to us, that's a you problem because we're going to say it anyway.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
going to say it anyway. Yes. So today we're going to have another question. So, what is the question you have for the people?
Well, I am a nonprofit consultant, so I help like social and environmental justice organizations like build community-centered nonprofits. So the question I have is whether or not you think like nonprofit organizations are helping us or harming us.
Oh, as a brand new nonprofit owner, this is a good question. Okay, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Oh my goodness.
It's
Okay,
the
well,
question that needs to be asked, right? We all need to be
it's
asking
been
ourselves.
needed. Yes, it's
Yeah.
been needed. And I did an MBA, and I don't know if you know this, but I did an MBA. And one of the things that we learned in the MBA was like, well, not necessarily nonprofits, but nonprofits and charitable organizations, what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that hospitals are charitable organizations, churches are charitable organizations. And I had my questions. I had
Yeah.
my questions as a physician and as a used to be Christian. I have my questions. So I am so excited about this topic. How do you want us to tackle it? Oh my God, that is so good. How do you want us to start? Because
Oh God.
well, how did you become a nonprofit consultant? Because this is obviously you're immersed in it. You're
Mm-hmm.
inside of it. That's why you have meaningful questions. So
Yeah.
they say if you want a good answer, ask a good question. So why did you even get into this kind of work? How?
So my entire life has just been like centering around service, right? My parents were very service minded, very service driven, very mission driven. They were Christians. We grew up in churches. So I grew up around like nonprofits and charitable organizations and have just been in and out of them all my life, working with them, working in them, working around them.
Around
Like they
them.
have, it's just been like this constant thing. And then I started a clothing brand probably about like almost 10 years ago now. I started a clothing line. And in that clothing line, I ended up like being a founding member of a community organization. And we eventually built that into a nonprofit because I'm like, I've done nonprofits my whole life. I got this, right? I did not, in fact, have it. Like, it was so hard. Like, it's so different building your own from scratch, right?
It's the self-awareness for me. I'm telling you. I mean, at least, hey, listen, you said
Look,
it. And I don't know how far gone you were before you realized it, but at least you did.
yeah, I was probably a few years in, and it was funny because like we grew really, really quickly and we were doing really well. And then it just all started to fall apart, like mostly because I was burnt out and I just like couldn't, but everybody was still asking for advice because we were doing like this incredible stuff. And I think I was like, I'm just done. I can't do this anymore. But even as I was done, I was still helping other people build their organizations and build their like more purpose-driven businesses. And so I just started seeing everybody doing the same things that I was doing. We were all making the same mistakes. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so like slowly I just kind of built up and was working with different organizations, just built up a system that I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to build these organizations so that they can last and thrive and we're not getting completely burnt out in the process. So that's how I ended up here.
Wow.
Like building
I
something
have,
that I wish I had had.
yeah, I have so many questions. My first question is, what is the name of the clothing brand and is it still in existence? Can we give it a shout out or no?
So it's funny because I never changed the name of my business, but it was Blessed Designs.
Okay.
And it's not in existence anymore. What the few things I
Oh,
had left actually went to my mom's shop. She has like a small little shop here in Grand Forks, North Dakota, where I currently am. But she has it, so she's selling everything out of her shop right now. So you can't buy anything now unless you're like buying it through her. And her shop is Creative Purpose Collective. But but so then we just like moved that into this like consulting agency. So now it's Blessed Designs Consulting. I'm like the name never changed.
well,
Something
I
we
mean,
can
it's
talk
already,
about later. But
yeah, no, but if you already had like a footprint, is that what they call it?
yeah,
If the blessed design already had a footprint,
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of, yeah, blessed designs. Because I mean, hey, listen, it is what it is. You
it
already
is.
you got your little online footprint, and you wanted to stick with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think it's okay. It's okay to me. I think it's okay.
I think it's been okay. Like we have the clothing line and we still kind of get hits like from Google from that. But for the most part, we've managed to, I don't want to say like wipe it out, but move on from that a bit. But yes. But it's
Yeah.
still so core to who I am, just that fashion aspect and that sustainability environmental portion. So it's still in there.
Wow. And so you're now in the business of solving problems for nonprofits. So
Yeah.
why this question?
So I think it's so important to me because one of the very first things I ask people to do is just like research their area and to really get a good idea of the organizations that are already around them. Because like last count, there was like two something million nonprofit organizations in the United
I
States,
believe
right?
you. I swear to God, I believe you. Everybody, everything. And I pushed back. I did not, I fought it. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to do a nonprofit. Everybody has a nonprofit. And I was just like, I don't want to do a nonprofit. And I was like, oh God. So, oh, now that you've retired, so what are you gonna do next? A nonprofit? I'm like, no. Everybody was just like, no. I was like, no. Once I found out that
Yeah.
not all the funds are usually used for what they say they're gonna use them for.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just I didn't want to be part of that. I
Yeah,
didn't want to be
it's
part of that.
hard. Like, and they call it like the nonprofit industrial complex. And it is really this like systemic organism that has been built essentially from our tax system that really doesn't allow for real change. And so I think a big part of what I do is helping organizations like build that foundation so that they can operate in the world that we live in while still working to change it, right? So because I'm a mutual aid girl. Like I love some mutual aid. I totally believe that. I believe in community centered like entities and organizations and everything being like community centered, community led and community driven. But at the same time, we have tax laws here that we are beholden to, unfortunately, right? And so I don't want anybody to get into a situation where, they're trying to do good and essentially get taxed for it because, they've managed to raise so much money and the IRS is like,
Yeah,
we want our cut too.
yeah.
So I use nonprofits like as a structure in order to like create the impact that we really want to see, right? And so that's my whole thing. I just want to make sure you have the tools and the resources in order to create real change because the system that we're under now doesn't necessarily allow for that. And I don't know if have you ever read the book The Revolution Will Not Be Funded?
No.
No, it's such a good book. And I think a lot of people use that book as a means to be like nonprofits are useless. And that's not necessarily what I got out of the book. I think it was just like a big critique of this like industrial complex that we're dealing with and the way funding works and the way philanthropy has been set up essentially. So
So the book is titled "The Revolution Will Not Be Funded"
hmm
by who?
as soon as I'm like, it was funny because I was about to spit it out, and then as soon as
Yeah,
you
it's fine.
asked,
It's
like it
fine.
just
I wrote it down, so I'll look it up because I do have a nonprofit. So I still want to come back to your question because that's actually a question that I struggle with it. And my nonprofit is a newborn baby, and we're doing a very specific thing, which is
yeah.
educating healthcare professionals about affirming their LGBT plus patients and just
Oh, okay.
helping them. The doctors are not trained around LGBT plus care. So a lot of
hmm
doctors don't know what they don't know. And
hmm
so I just have the nonprofit to help fund that. So
Yeah.
I know, and that's all I do. I travel around the country, you know, giving talks and educating people and mainly physicians and healthcare professionals. I know that I'm doing what I said I'm going to do with the
Yeah.
nonprofit funds, which is, I mean, our annual budget is like 20 grand. I mean, maybe 30 grand at the most, 40 this year because somebody's going to give us 40.
Yeah.
But I don't have, it's just, we're 2 years old, right? So in my mind, I'm like,
hmm
I'm not like 1.5 million, even though they were like, so what? I went to an event, they were like, so what plans do you want to grow? I said, no, not really. I don't want to grow like that. That's not, I want to become a millionaire, but not through the nonprofit. And
Right.
then I don't know if I sounded, they looked at me kind of funny because I wanted to remain small. And then thankfully, one of the white guy in the room, and I said why because I don't know why I said that, but it's true. One of the white guys said, no, 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 no. We've been here for 7+ years, and our plan is to remain small. I thought, thank goodness. And I'm not
And
the only
there's
one.
absolutely like nothing wrong with that. Like I want organizations to be
No.
ready for growth when it happens, but growth can look different things, like right? Like it could be like a $5,000 budget to a $20,000 budget, or that 20,000 to the 40,000. Like it doesn't have to be millions. Like you
Yeah,
don't have to
I
necessarily
don't even know that I want millions.
yeah.
I honestly don't want millions. No, no, I don't know. I don't know if I want millions, but I do want to know what's your are nonprofits hurting or harming us? I mean, I do want to know what you think the answer to, but that's a question of, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so nuanced, right? Like it's a little bit of
Yes.
both if we're completely being honest,
Yes.
because I think the way they're set up now, like I said, is not meant to create real impact. Um, just within our culture and our society, like a lot of people fund and they want to have real impact, but they're not giving money in a way that allows organizations to actually do that, right? So a lot of times they're um like restricting the grants and it can only be for like very specific programs or very specific projects. But it takes people to like run those projects. And yeah, you can have, some of those dollars allocated to those people, but it's really difficult to like run an entire organization with employees and staff when the bulk of this money is only for them to work on very specific things, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so,
yes. Thank you for saying that. That's
yeah,
true. I've been lucky, knock on wood. I've only had one major person that really donated to us, and they donated. This is the second time that they're giving to us, gifting us. And they have said, do whatever you want to do with it. We don't care. Just do whatever you want to do with it. And then the second group of people that have asked also that they're gonna, we think we're gonna get it. Say the same thing. Just get the money,
do
do
whatever.
whatever you want to do with it. And I think I'm going to just stick with those two people.
Look, and it's so great, right? And When you find good people, you stick with them. And that's the other thing, like making sure we're building these relationships so that we can get like multi-year kind of funding. And it's not like this one time throwing at us of like $10,000 and you're like, okay, now what do I do next year? Or like
Yeah.
what comes next, right? And so being able to get like these reoccurring funds is really important in order for us to be able, for us as like a nonprofit organizations, to be able to really fulfill our goals and our purpose that we have set out to do. So
So
it's
tell me
yes.
about the harming part. I mean, how is it harming us? The reason I'm asking is because, again, because I have a new nonprofit, I've been going to as many nonprofit things as I can. And one of the events I went to recently, they were talking about burnout. They were talking a lot about
Mhm.
burnout. And I was
Yes.
like, oh my God, I hope I don't ever burn out because, but then I said to myself, I don't know that I will because technically speaking, my nonprofit is also doing the same is an extension of the work that my for-profit is doing. So I love my for-profit, what I do, which is educating physicians, and the extension is educating the community, which is what the
Mhm.
nonprofit does. So I'm like, really, I don't know if I will get burned out, but I know there's a lot of burnout. So do you want to tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about burnouts in this space?
So a lot of it is, I mean, and it's being accelerated now, right? With like all the federal funding that's going away. But a lot of it is number one, nonprofit workers are often like underpaid. So so let's just like start with that. Like they're not being paid quite enough for what they do. And a lot of people aren't wanting to like pay their salaries, right? They want all that money to go to the programs. And I completely understand that, but it takes people to run those programs. And when then in like times like this and times of, essentially crisis, like nonprofits get hit even harder. So like funding's going down and the need for their services is going up. And so it's like this constant cycle of them having to do more with like less money. And so
Yeah.
people are getting burned out. I was just listening to a podcast episode today from like the nonprofit show, which by the way, if you guys have never listened to, you should listen to. Every Friday they do like these fundraising Fridays, which is fabulous and great. But today, I was listening to an episode and they were essentially just like talking about this cycle and how like development officers, like the people that kind of fundraise for the organizations, only last like 18 to 19 months in an organization before they're just kind of done, whether they're getting fired or they're quitting. But like that's not a long time. Like it's not even 2 years, right? They're not even lasting a like full 2 years in these organizations when it comes to fundraising and getting things done because one, a big thing is mine is we're missing a lot of like foundational stuff. We're missing a lot of some systems and infrastructure that allows these people to just have an easier time. And we forget about that because like all our mind is tends to be on is just fundraising. Like we're just thinking the money. Like we just need more money. All we need is like to get more money in order to make this work. And that's just it's not true. Like you need some infrastructure underneath, right? You need a really solid foundation in order to build all of this stuff on. And so I say that like nonprofits are harming us just because we've we've ended up in this like cycle where so many organizations are they're just like fundraising machines and that's all they're doing is just like money 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 money
Yeah. I
and they're unable to really have the impact and that they have set out to do and then and then in the process um their workers, their staff, their teams, their volunteers, whoever it is doing is just getting burned out because there's just so much work to do and so much work that's expected from them.
yeah. Do you think that this is going to turn around? I mean, was there ever again? And I literally just joined the bandwagon last year. So do you think that is this something that's going to turn around maybe after the administration hands change, or is this like something that's always been going down and it just kind of went really straight down now? Or was there a time when there was flourishing of nonprofits? Like, was there a time when there was a lot of funds available? Was there such a time ever in the past?
That's a good question. Because I've been digging into like nonprofit history for a while now and just trying to really figure that out. But so I don't know necessarily if there was like a time in the past where all of this worked. I do feel like the tax laws, actually, I'm saying it changed. The tax laws were essentially built in like the 70s, that we operate under now, and that completely changed the way nonprofits work. But the biggest thing I want to like kind of focus on is whether or not like things can change. And I would say absolutely yes. And I think they are changing. There are already organizations that are doing this better. There are already organizations that have like set out. And I do also believe that a lot of it is going to have to come from philanthropy, right? It's going to have to come like from the top down. And but again, that's already happening, right? You already have like funders and people who are giving you money that are like, hey, like we believe in what you're doing, just do whatever you need to do with it, kind of thing. And so there's people out there and there's foundations out there that are really starting to listen to nonprofit organizations and are changing the way they fund and the way they give organizations money and what they're expecting from them on the back end. And the change is already happening, it's already coming, and like I said, other organizations are already like building up these amazing things. I know one organization that I work with, we were going through their books, and they have in their like budgeted like wellness funds. Like they have a wellness fund for their staff, and it's just like a pot of money that people can do like whatever it is that they like. If they need to go a spa day, like they can borrow from those funds to like just have a little themselves a little spa day, right? So I'm like, it's these things that, hey, we're taking care of people in like real and tangible ways, that are really, really so important. I was listening to another podcast of this
A
lady
good
who was
idea.
like, this was not a nonprofit, this was a for-profit business, but I still think this mentality is starting to change about around the way we work. And they take an entire week off every quarter, and they're like, they just shut things down. And they're like, nothing is like so essential and and life-threatening that it can't be handled when they get back. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. So when I'm saying like, yeah, I think things can change because I think they already are. I think there's already people right now that are doing the work to make things better, and and just doing things differently, knowing that they need to be different in order to really sustain themselves for a while.
Now, is your work mainly in the US or is it outside of the US?
It is mainly in the US, but I have advised multiple organizations like outside of that. But it's so different because like the laws are so different, right? And and
Yeah, each
I'm
country.
always, yeah, I'm always a little uncomfortable because like my experience is so versed in like the US and how like
Mhm.
our system operates. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want to like put that mindset on anybody else because I've like worked with organizations in like South Asia and like in Africa, like South Africa, Kenya, Liberia, Uganda, and I don't want to necessarily put like this westernized mindset onto them when they're like running their nonprofits, because I'm like there's some like cultural things there that I think is more important for you guys to do the
Yeah,
way you do and
yeah.
not don't replicate our system. It's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't know if we're obviously I'm based in Atlanta, so I don't know anything about NGOs. This is what they call them, and I didn't even know that that's what it
Yeah.
was called because I've been here for
Yeah.
36 years. So I'm not. It's been a minute, but I found out that they're called NGOs, non-governmental
Hmm.
organizations. Which I said, well, I didn't know that that's what that meant.
Yeah.
But so now I know. But I also don't know if they're necessarily trying to copy or if it's not the other way around. A lot of things we know
Hmm.
now have just been misappropriated. They really are the ones, the Westerners are the ones stealing from the motherland. I mean, it's always been
Yes.
the case from day one. They stole the people, they stole the
Yes.
culture, they stole the art, they stole the vibranium, right? They stole the uranium.
Yes.
They're stealing, and that's usually the other way around. I know it
Hmm.
sounds like really, yes, really,
No,
really.
like
Black people are
100%.
innovators. Black people are innovators. We're creators. We're natural. I mean, fashion,
Hmm.
color,
Hmm.
hair, music, everything comes from there.
Yeah,
So it's really
absolutely.
the other way around, unfortunately. I do want to know
Yeah.
about just well, we're at the bottom. First of all, we're at the bottom of the bottom half of the show. So if you're listening to us, the show is called Ask a Black Woman Podcast. I'm the chief host. My name is Dr. Lulu. And today we're joined by Sharmon, who is talking about nonprofit work, which I generally do not know the questions that the co-hosts are going to come with, because I just want to learn it like everyone else.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that she's asking us these questions today, because this is not a question I would have ever asked. And the question is, are nonprofits hurting or harming us? So if you have any kind of information about nonprofit, please type in the comment, join the conversation.
Yes.
Let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear what you think. Maybe you have a different way of thinking. Maybe you can help someone. This is such a beautiful, I'm definitely going to make a lot of content out of this, because this is a conversation that I definitely want to know about, because I have a brand new nonprofit. But that said, the way the show works is at the bottom of the hour, we will open it up to our co-hosts to take over the reins of the show and ask the questions instead, and just kind of, and we'll go from there. But if you're just meeting us for the first time, please stay. We love to see more people. We love to see. I see a lot of comments. I get all the notifications when people leave hearts, and I had a gentleman. This is crazy, but a gentleman yesterday whose podcast is called Ask a Brother Podcast. So he's a Black man. His show is called Ask a Brother Podcast, and he put a question mark. And it's interesting because that episode, I think it was episode 5, and I think that's the one where she was asking about why we're raising our Black men to grow up to become warriors. And so when I saw that he put the question mark, I asked him, I said, tell me more. So I do want you all to tell us more. We can't read your minds. We don't know what you're thinking. Tell us what you're thinking. Let's have a healthy conversation. This is not me versus you, us versus them. And I made it very clear. I said, listen, my co-hosts come with their own questions, and nobody's question is less or more. It is what it is. So if you feel challenged by one of our questions, chime in. Chime in. How are we going to know what you're thinking? So the show is called Ask a Black Woman Podcast. And yes, we say it with our full chest, because it's our time to start asking Black women questions, because we have answers. So Sharmon, you're going to take over and, do your thing. Ask any questions you have for the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then we'll come back and you tell us how we can find you, follow you, support you, and all that jazz. And if you would like to support the show, please let me know. A couple of you have told me that you have businesses you would like to showcase on the show. So I'm excited about that. My name is Dr. Lulu. Just send us an email at askablackwomanpodcast@gmail.com. askablackwomanpodcast@gmail.com. Add the podcast, and it's at gmail.com. All right, over to you, my love. It's all yours.
Yay! I'm excited. Although, okay, before I really get into some of my questions, I did want to kind of ask you, because you were talking about how you didn't want to start the nonprofit because you were just sick hearing how like the funding just wasn't going on. And I would love to hear more about that and what you're hearing, because I feel like that is just a lot of people's experience, and they just have not had great experiences with nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, so I didn't have an experience one way or the other. It was more of a thought. And I think that's the beautiful thing about being a life coach, or just being a coach overall. Now I challenge my thoughts and other people's thoughts. And I wonder why you thought that. So I did an MBA. I'm a physician. I did an MBA. And during the MBA, I learned that churches and hospitals are charitable organizations, and therefore do not pay taxes. And I just thought, no wonder there's a proliferation of churches, right? Whether they're doing good or not. No wonder every street has a church, even in my country. I didn't know this. So I was like, so it's a way to essentially make money. And no wonder they focus on tithes. This is money making. But that said, as a physician, I was more concerned about the fact that hospitals are also, charitable organizations, and therefore don't pay taxes. And a lot of, I think or maybe have a different tax way of doing it. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I was concerned because we know today many hospitals are changing they're not run by physicians, they're run by hospital administrators, people who are
Mm-hmm.
more into profit making. So I'm like, wait, you're a charitable organization, so technically you don't pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you so focused on profit? And then not that there's anything wrong with that, because without profit, maybe you won't be sustained. But why then is it like almost you have to just focus on productivity? It's like at the expense of the doctor's health,
Yeah.
burnout of the doctors. The patients are not really feeling seen fully. It's like 15 minutes, boom, boom, boom. Next patient. Some cases, like a cold and a runny nose, need 5 minutes. Some,
Yeah.
like pneumonia, need 15 minutes. Some, like a diabetic foot, need 30 minutes. Like someone who had a spinal cord injury needs an hour. So you can't just say everybody 15 minutes. So I'm just like, it made sense that they want some profit, but I don't like at the expense of the patients who trusted you to come to your system, the
Mm-hmm.
doctors who work for you. I just had thoughts about it. And so when everyone was like, so now that you've retired, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. Are you going to start a nonprofit? I said, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do I just don't want to touch. I felt dirty in me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
then I said, well, and I don't know what I'm going to nonprofit about. Then I said, okay, as a pediatrician, maybe I'll try to see if I can help kids who are experiencing homelessness. So I
Yeah.
said, let me come from there. Then I moved to Georgia, and then they said, oh, if you want to do that, you have to do this, that, this, the other. I was like, what? And then they said, also, as you know, if anything happens to one hair, one of those kids' hair, just one hair, they could shut the whole thing down. I was like,
Yeah.
no, see now. That's why I didn't want
Yeah.
to do it. And so we started off with that, and then we switched after 1 year to just education. And I figured I love teaching already.
Mm-hmm.
This is my lane already. So let's just make it communal. Let's just open it up. There's a lot of questions
Yeah.
and misconceptions about the queer community, a lot of unknowns, a lot of disinformation and misconceptions that, okay, let me go and try to set that right, because I'm a queer person
Yeah.
myself. My kid is a
Mm-hmm.
member of the community as well. I know this, and as a
Yeah.
parent, okay, let me do that instead. So that's kind of why I said, okay, I'm already teaching physicians anyway. I'm just going to see
Yes.
if my nonprofit would also expand that work. And thank goodness I did, because a
Yeah.
lot of, as you said, a lot of people just don't have too much funds, and they want to pay, but they don't have money and all the things. So having the nonprofit has really helped with
Yeah.
work for me. So I'm happy I did it in the end. But at the beginning, I was like, oh, I didn't want to do it. I felt like, it's going to be like, I didn't know anything about fundraising. We
Yeah.
don't learn that in medical school. So that's kind of the short answer to that. So
Which like
that's,
brings me to several million more questions as I'm thinking just about healthcare reform and like what that could potentially look like from a physician standpoint, like what could or it doesn't need to be reformed, or we just need to start over?
honestly, it needs to be gutted. I really think it needs to be gutted. There's such it's sad. And obviously, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm an expert in being a pediatrician for 36 years. I mean, okay, being a physician and a pediatrician for 30, this is my
Mhm.
36th year. So I know a thing or two. I will tell you right now, it needs to be gutted. The style, the direction we're going is not working. Thankfully, there's a group of physicians who have now figured it out to some extent,
Mhm.
and we're called direct primary care physicians. So it's DPC. We don't use health insurance, or we have a hybrid. So the patient
Mm.
still keeps their insurance. If you have to have an X-ray or a random MRI, you probably need your insurance to pay for that.
Yeah.
But when you're coming to see me in my practice, in my office, you have it's a membership, a monthly X amount of dollars
Oh,
per
nice.
month. And then you can come, and usually the visit is for 1 hour. It's like, so in one day, I might see only 8 patients, or maybe 30 minutes, depending on what the doctor is doing. For me,
Yeah.
is 1 hour, because I work specifically with the LGBT plus community
Yeah.
as a life coach, less as a physician, more as a life coach, but it's the same model. So there's a membership they pay, and then there's a there's a registration fee, and then a monthly membership. And then for that monthly membership, you get maybe X amount of visits. But the doctor is satisfied because I get to sit down and talk to my patient. And then the patient is also satisfied because they don't have to leave in 30 minutes or in 15 minutes. You don't have to like have a waiting room filled with people. So it's a very new, relatively new concept, about maybe 10 years old. And we have more and more physicians going into that now and realizing that, this is wow, this is good. That said, there's always going to be people that are hospitalists. There's always going to be doctors who work in the hospital. But I definitely think that there's a lot of room for reform, a lot of room for sitting down together and talking about who really should be at the helm of affairs. I think the administrators have something to say because this is what they learned, but also the actual boots on the ground, the physicians and the nurses also need to have a say. And then maybe we should be a joint thing. Like the head of the hospital should be doctor representation, nurses, one of each, because we have nurses doctors, we cannot do anything without our nurses. We can't. So we need our nurses' input. And they also have a lot of high rates of burnout too. So the burnout is so bad. And unfortunately, trigger warning, the suicide rate also follows that.
Wow.
And if we're losing 400 doctors a year is the number, which that number is from the 70s. One doctor sees, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 patients. We can't afford to lose 400 a year. And that's not nurses. And that's not including pharmacists and other people. So there's something wrong with the system.
Yeah.
If your main workers are choosing to unalive themselves, that's not it. Not
at all. And even like, as I'm thinking about like healthcare and the way we operate, like, do you feel like a lot of this is coming from like just the education, like starting in like medical school, or is it like a larger thing at play here?
It's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. As someone who is an immigrant who works in DEI, I was coming out and college. I never even knew what. It's funny. I never knew what DEI was until it was banned. I'm like, wait, what? What is that?
What?
Oh, I see. Because as a doctor, it's not something I thought about. So I was like, oh, that's what it is. Oh, what's wrong with it again?
What? Exactly. What? Like, I want people to, I'm like, tell me what DEI stands for and why it's bad. Like, please.
Wait, what? Okay. But I would say, as a Black woman, as a Black person, as a mother of Black children in America, which we tend to spell with 3 Ks, we definitely know a lot about systems that are not built for us. And so Black patients need Black doctors. And if the new anti-DEI movement is gutting out Black medical schools and gutting out Black doctors, and I think recently the current president, who will not be named on my show, pulled out the process whereby foreign doctors can come to the US and just can stop the process of the H-1B visa. The majority of physicians in the hospital are not Americans. They're foreigners. And so imagine shooting your foot to spite your toe. Who does that? Like, what are you doing? So the systems are not built for us. There's a lot of discrimination. Medical language is patriarchal. There's a lot of patriarchy in it.
Yes.
When I was growing up in medical school in the 80s, the average patient was described as a 70-kilogram man. And I never asked myself a question about that until recently. I said, wait, if it's a 70-kilogram man, how many women are 70 kilograms? Right? And as a woman who works in the LGBT plus space specifically, most transgender men are not 70 kilograms. So who is this medicine built for again?
Exactly.
Yeah, so the reform,
Exactly.
I don't know where it's going to begin. So whether it's at the medical school level, they are being taught the incorrect thing. Somebody said one time I did a poll on social media, and I said, by show of hands, how many of you got any kind of LGBT plus specific training? I was giving a talk to Black psychiatrists, and I wanted to know. I said, all the psychiatrists, please let me know how many of you got any kind of LGBT plus specific training. No, 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 no. And then one yes said yes. We were taught about LGBT plus patients under the difficult patient course.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Tell you. So, and yet it's a charitable organization. Is it
Look,
charitable?
and it's so wild. So we have
Is it
a
charitable
nonprofit
when you turn
hospital here.
when you turn homeless people away? Is it charitable? Is it charitable when there's racism? Is it charitable? So that's my question. Sorry, go ahead and
I'm
ask your
like, is it
answer.
charitable when you're like pulling stuff out of people's checks because they haven't been able to pay yet? Like, I mean, it's wild. We have a nonprofit hospital here. It's the only one because they've essentially bullied out everybody else.
I believe
And
it. I
I'm like,
believe
they
it.
are just huge bullies. They're completely ridiculous. They're constantly building and doing all these things. And because they're nonprofit, one, they're not paying taxes, right? And then two, like they they're supposed to like do these different charitable things in the community, but it's like complete like BS, right? They're not really
Yes, I
doing
don't think they
anything
do. I don't think they do at
worthwhile.
all. I don't know the last time I heard of, and that my private practice was in South Carolina. The entire time I was there for 13 years, I never, ever, ever saw one day that that hospital did anything in the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
And
never,
it's
I never knew. I never heard about it. But it's a charitable organization.
that's what and it's so funny.
CEOs,
So the one here is called All True, and I'm like, there's nothing altruistic about this hospital at all. I'm calling y'all out. I'm calling you out.
call them out. So it's like, I was talking to my mother before I came on this call, on this show, and we were talking about how, have you heard the concept of weathering? Have you heard that term before?
Like in terms of like, I've like heard of it
So,
in terms of like furniture and
well,
how.
no, no. So the word weathering is, it's like the word weather, but
Mm-hmm.
you add ing to it, and the
Mm-hmm.
concept is it was actually the book is by a white woman. I don't know the name of the full book, but it was actually by a white woman that she put the concept together, just like Kimberly Crenshaw put intersectionality together. She put weathering
Mm-hmm.
together. So
Mm-hmm.
the weathering is where they found out that the study was done on Black women, and they found out that Black women, the birth weight of babies who are born to Black women in the US, they had a very relatively lower birth weight. I don't have all the detail, but that's the
Yeah.
gist of it. Lower birth weights. And then they found out that Black women in the diaspora had bigger babies than Black women in the US.
Mm.
But the catch was when Black women in the diaspora moved to the US after so many years, their babies also are small babies. Their babies become the same size,
Yeah.
the same birth weight as the babies of the Black women. And when they went up to figure out upstream what was happening, it was racism and microaggressions and, trauma and all the
Yeah.
things. Just so it's like, it is around us.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that our unborn babies
Yeah.
come out smaller.
Yeah.
That is so devastating. think about. And as a pediatrician, I know smaller babies have their health problems. That's why it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we have a random person who has a 10-pounder here, 8 pound, but this is a study that was done over a course of time.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to see that the power of stress that's around you, and you're not even aware that the stress is around you.
Yeah.
So racism is
Wow.
such a bad thing.
It's
Such a bad
awful.
thing.
And I hate that we're like being gaslighted to like act like it's not, or
Yeah.
gaslit, I guess. Act like it's not even a
Gaslit.
thing
Yeah, no,
anymore,
yeah,
right?
gaslit. It's that this past week in the medical field, a white gentleman, a white doctor, is suing
Yes.
the black director.
Yes. Yes. Because they wouldn't, I'm like, and it's so crazy because somebody was just looking at his credentials and apparently he is like trained in DEI. And we're like, are you? Are you really? Or is that just like something that you're putting in your like your titles and your stuff to make you look good, right? Because if you really understood like the tenets and the core of that, this is not something you would be doing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, this is a classic example of we can't have our own thing.
Exactly.
Sir, do you understand that the term racism means you have to have systems? I have a whole book. I don't know if it's here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Second book is titled How to Teach Your Children About Racism. It's not here. I never have my books when I need them. But my second book is titled my third book is titled How to Teach Your Children About Racism. And in that book, I explain that you need systems in place
Mm-hmm.
for racism to happen. So a
And to
Black person
flourish.
cannot ever be racist. We might be prejudiced, but we cannot be racist because for racism to occur, we need systems in place to support it.
Mm-hmm.
So for
Mm-hmm.
him to try racism, I don't know. I don't know what to do with these people. So
And I'm like, and at the same time, like, do we need to do something with them? Because like this is a constant, right? We've been here before.
we've been here
This isn't the
before.
first time that they've tried to like tear stuff down, and people
They
want to act
haven't
like it's
tried, they've
new.
succeeded in the past, even.
Yeah, and I'm
Black
like, we've
Wall
got
Street,
entire towns and
towns
communities
wiped out.
gone
Yeah.
that were flourishing simply because these people came in and destroyed it all. So,
Yes.
so I'm like, we've been here before. It may look a
Mhm.
little different, but it is same playbook. They doing the same thing.
And then with the redrawing of the maps and remapping
Hmm.
the districts.
Okay. Oh, to that, I just saw something on social media, I think it was yesterday, and people were talking about how Black people are registering as Republicans. They're like, they can only do this by like party lines, right? The Supreme
I
Court
saw
has
that.
allowed them to do it by party lines. But apparently this has been, I hadn't realized that because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, my dad did that all the time. Like he would register as a Republican so that their like voting areas wouldn't be like an hour away, right? It'd be like right down the street all of a sudden, when you have a strong Republican, like community. And so they've been doing this, and I'm like, it's
So they register. So I
ingenious.
guess. So, but what's the second thing? So when they register as Republicans, then they vote as them. But how does
And then
that?
they vote as Democrat, yeah. But
Oh,
they're registered as Republicans.
wow.
And I'm like, oh,
Listen,
this is interesting.
that's reverse intersection. That's reverse everything. And if it works out in the end, it's going to be an interesting concept to see. If anybody told me that after the lockdown we would have this much craziness, I would have never
Mhm.
believed it. Because there are just some things that you would not think. And like for instance, we have this hold on. We have this hold on, sorry. It's my kid. I'm going to real quick. For instance, we have this, and I forgot what I was going to say. Oh dear. Uh, anyway, that's okay. That's okay. That's ADD for you. But the show is called Ask a Black Woman Podcast, and hopefully, those of you that have been listening, you've had maybe more questions, which is okay, or
Yeah.
maybe you have answers. The whole idea is for us to start talking about these things that we ordinarily would not have room to talk about as Black women. I want you to know that Black women don't only discuss nails and shoes. We also discuss,
Hey,
but also nails and shoes are also okay to discuss, right?
you
I
got
can
to
talk
wear
about
nails and
nails.
shoes to work. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got to.
And I want, for anybody that's watching, I hope one of you comes one day with a question about natural hair, right? Like you have, and talking about that. I mean, and maybe you come back and talk about it. I truly, I don't want to doctor the questions that come on the show. I want people to honestly come with their own questions because we've all wondered, I wonder how, I wonder why. Let's talk about
Yeah.
it. So as we get to the end of the show, and that's almost, oh wow, we've got 5 minutes to go. And I think I have another guest. Let's talk about you and how people can find you and support you. And yeah, I have someone else coming. Yeah, and how people can find you and support you and do all the things that how can people find you on social media and things like that? Do you have a website? You like
Yeah,
us to support
I
you?
do. I do. So my website is blesseddesignsco.com. So you can find me there. You can find like blogs if you're interested in starting a nonprofit. There are a ton of blogs. I have a ton of resources in my shop, as well as one of my favorites, which is like a soft reset toolkit, which is basically like just a little journal prompt. It is zero cost. You can go in there right now at blesseddesignsco.com/shop. And it's the first thing that you're going to see. And it's one of the things that I love. And it's a tool I use often just because it helps it helps to remind you like all the things that you've already accomplished, right? So when you're feeling stuck and you're kind of feeling down and you don't know like what part to go to next, you can just use this little journal and the little prompts and just really remind yourself of all the amazing things that you've already accomplished, and helps you like break out of that like quote unquote imposter syndrome. And so I would love for you guys to check that out. But you can also find me on Instagram and Threads and Facebook. And then I have a YouTube channel that's just at Sharmon Lebby. So where I get into a lot of stuff there. And so like I said, I love meeting people and I love responding to questions. So if you want to like ask a question under one of those videos and you want to hear more about some stuff, that line is always open.
What's your YouTube again?
It's like youtube.com/ and then they have like the at, right? And it's just Sharmon
Mhm.
Lebby.
Yeah, so can you say it's Strawman as STR?
Oh, so Sharmon is Sharmon, and then Lebby Lebby.
Okay, all right, good. I wanted to make sure I got okay. Okay, your name, also
Yeah.
your name. I don't know why I thought it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
STR.
just my
Okay,
name.
okay, good. And then
Just
the
my
last
name.
thing before you leave, I want you to please, do you have a question for the audience, like a going away question, something you want them to think about until you come back or something?
Yeah, I want to know what the perfect world looks like to them, because I feel like, and I want us to think about that because a lot of times we're fighting for a lot of things and we're advocating for a lot of things and we recognize all the things that are wrong. But I want us to start looking about like, what does right look like? Like, right? What does success look like? What is the world that we're actually fighting for? What do we actually want to see? And so that's what I want to know. Like, what does the perfect world look like to you?
Wow, what does okay?
Yeah.
That is so interesting because that question came from, for me, if anybody asked me, I would have never expected that question to come as the end question for today's conversation, but I love that. I love that. And that tells me that you're definitely not a one, like your mind is well-rounded, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I love it. I love
Well,
it.
and it's funny because I still think this even ties back to nonprofit organizations, right? Because we're all have these like purpose and goals and like this world that we envision, um, and what we want to see. But I don't think we always think about that like constantly, right? Just as
Ah,
as we're
I love that
advocating in this
question.
world.
I am very excited about that question. I'm definitely going to answer it for myself. I may even write it in the comment section. But this
Please.
has been such an amazing hour. I can't believe it's an hour already. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharmon. It was so
Thank
good to have you.
you. It's been fun. Thanks for having
I
me.
hope you come back. I really hope you come back. And everyone who's watching, the show is called Ask a Black Woman Podcast. We're so excited to have you watch, listen, comment, join us, and all the things. Until next time, this was episode 7 with Sharmon Lebby, and we'll see you
Woo!
next time. Please don't forget to share the show and leave a comment. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.